Good morning, everybody. It's 11 o'clock, so we'll start with our expert talk on pellet loss and Operation Clean Sweep, shortly OCS. Microplastics, one of the largest, if not the largest environmental challenge that the sector is facing. And pellet loss after paints and varnishes and tire abrasion is the third largest source of unintentional microplastics releases into the environment in the European Union. Now, some of you may wonder, why are we here on Climate Friday? Are we going to unveil some very spectacular results of a secret study that we did on how dispersed microplastics in the environment are going to affect the Earth's albedo and therefore its heat balance? No, we're not. I have to disappoint you. Is it about the fact that for every single pellet that is lost to the environment, we have to produce another pellet? No, that's not the case either. We know that it's not negligible. We're talking about losses in the European Union estimated at between 52 and 184,000 tons per year, which translates into an completely unnecessary emission of roughly 150,000 to 500,000 tons of CO2 equivalent per year. But that did not give us the slot today here at Climate Friday either. The simple, plain truth is the slot was available, the speakers were available, and we wouldn't have fit any better in any of the other days anyway. So that's why we're here today. And we don't have a booth as OCS, but you'll see us everywhere. Particularly if you go through the halls 9 to 15, where all the production equipment is showcased, you'll see us, and you'll see us because you don't see anything. You walk around, you won't see any pellets lying around. This is my first K fair, but I was told this was not always the case. And even if you talk to people there, they may not know that what they are doing is actually OCS, Operation Clean Sweep. But they are implementing Operation Clean Sweep. They are making sure that none of the pellets they are handling goes where it's not supposed to go to. But we have far better experts than me to talk about this topic, just about the format of today's session. So we're going to have 3 interventions. First, a short introduction by my esteemed colleague Kailas into the topic of pellet loss and Operation Clean Sweep. Then Silvia Forni from the European Commission is going to give a short video address to talk about the pellet loss regulation that is currently being finalized. And finally, our colleagues Stephan Ständer and Rutjes from LyondellBasell are going to talk about the implementation of OCS in operational practices. So, Kailas, you are the first. You're also going to include some slides by our esteemed colleague Christopher Zachhuber from Borealis. Christopher has spent, like the other participants, quite some time and passion to prepare his presentation, but yesterday he had to inform us that for health reasons he is not able to join, so we'll send our best wishes from here to him and hope that he is going to recover quickly. But now, Kailas, please go ahead and share your knowledge about OCS.
Thank you, Alex. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kailas Naresh from Plastics Europe. As I start my presentation, I hope I don't have to explain what plastic pellets are at K-Fair. Anyways, I'm happy to be here at K 2025, spotlighting Operation Clean Sweep, or OCS program, which is our industry's flagship initiative to prevent plastic pellet losses to the environment. A program focused on environmental stewardship and our commitment as an industry. So let's start with the problem. What is a pellet loss problem? A preventable microplastics release. So every year, thousands of tons of plastic pellets, flakes, and powders can unintentionally leak into the environment during production, transport, or handling. These pellets are small, but significant. They represent a preventable source of microplastics that we as an industry can and must control. Once released, pellets are difficult to recover and can persist in ecosystem for decades. So preventing pellet loss isn't just good practice, it's an essential part of our broader commitment to responsible plastics management. Let me reiterate, preventing pellet loss is a value chain responsibility, a shared responsibility. From polymer producers to converters, transporters, logistics partners, and recyclers, every actor in the plastics value chain has a role to play. That's exactly where Operation Clean Sweep comes in. So, OCS, or the Operation Clean Sweep program, hails from the United States back in the 90s, where the industry took initiative to prevent pellet loss. Since 2015, Plastics Europe has become the main host of the OCS program in Europe to take concrete action against pellet loss and actively encouraging pellet handling companies, as well as other trade associations from the value chain to commit to the program and prioritize its implementation across all sites. The OCS program is an industry initiative, voluntary and free initiative developed for the industry. By signing the OCS pledge, companies or facilities can commit to preventing pellet loss through 6 key actions covering everything from facility design and staff training to internal auditing and partner engagement. It's supported by expert working group. For instance, at Plastics Europe, we have expert working group comprising of senior environmental and technical experts on this issue from industrial sites, exchanging best practices and continuously improving the system. Here are the 6 commitments of the OCS pledge. We will not be dwelling on this slide long, but just to take an example, if you look at the first one, improve our worksite setup to prevent spills. What does that mean? You simply look at your current existing infrastructure and process design and production design and see where pellets are likely to spill. And a spill on site is potentially going to end up in the environment. Hence, we have to prevent spills from the very beginning. OCS also has served as a knowledge hub for decades. The website offers a wide range of tools, best practice manuals, posters, checklists, and training materials. If you look at that first poster with the truck, these are loading instructions for bulk transport, for silo trucks. So often we see that on sites when the truck is being filled with plastic pellets, there is a potential of overfill. And what happens when there's an overfill? The pellets are spilled onto the ground. And often these spills are never cleaned up. So it's important that first you create awareness among all your staff and your contractors so that the truck driver, for instance, is aware how to fill the truck properly so the pellets are not spilled on the ground. Now, going a step further, we developed something called the OCS Europe Certification Scheme. So this is an auditable third-party system built on the 6 OCS commitments or the 6 pledge points. This can be integrated into your existing environmental management system to prevent pellet loss. For example, the ISO 14001 or even your EMAS systems. So this goes as a management scheme, and then this is trickled down to site level and measures are implemented. As I said, it's built on the 6 commitments of the OCS pledge. So we developed auditable requirements to assess your pellet loss management. So a third-party auditor from a licensed certification body can come and do the audit. How can a facility get certified? It's very simple. Company signs the OCS pledge. You adapt your facility to the OCS requirements and integrate OCS into your EMS. And once you're ready, gathered all the documentation, you can book an audit through the OCS certification website, through one of the licensed CBs available. The auditor will plan the audit, check your documentation, and see whether the documentation reflects the reality on site. If you take an example of the requirements, the first pledge point again, improve worksite setup to prevent and address spills. Facilities are required to conduct an annual risk analysis to identify where and how pellet losses can occur, from handling points to facility boundaries, and implement targeted containment measures. In the interest of time, I will skip this slide, might get it as a post-read. this is just an example of one of our member companies, Borealis Group, how they have implemented OCS within their group management system. So at every site, there's a local OCS team who is responsible for the implementation, and it keeps the implementation efficient and effective. So since every site is different, the circumstances are different, there will be measures implemented tailored to that site. The local OCS team will report to the group coordinator who manages the OCS standard, and it integrates it into the EMS of the corporate management system, and checks the compliance and implementation of learnings from audits, internal audits, and there's a steering committee. Often there are some exchanges between experts from the local OCS team as well. The biggest question when we get into OCS or pellet loss prevention is how much it's going to cost. It's not very expensive if we focus on prevention, because prevention is actually integrating behaviors into your staff, your operators, and everyone whom you're working with. And it can be simple solution, just like catchment trays below bagging lines. And we have followed this hierarchy of action, which is resonant with the chemical process safety lingo, which is prevention, mitigation, and containment. And these are just examples of how Borealis has implemented measures. You have signs on road, you have posters around about the pellet loss prevention issue and how to clean up efficiently. You have ready access to cleaning equipment across the sites, and for containment steps, you have filter baskets or drain covers at the facility boundaries. So the certification rules. The validity of the certificate is for 3 years. Every year there will be a surveillance audit, which is called a control audit, and that's just to see whether you're maintaining all your granting conditions. All certified facilities are available on the public register. You are removed if you don't maintain the conditions. Currently, the stats are, as you see on the screen, there are 215 certified facilities, 18 licensed certification bodies, big players like SGSD and Bureau Veritas. Average audit cost is about 2,000 to 4,000 euros, and 61% of Plastics Europe members are currently certified. Now, just before I wind up, finally, it's important to note how OCS aligns with policy. The upcoming EU regulation on pellet loss prevention draws heavily from the OCS framework. By adopting OCS certification early, companies can identify compliance gaps, improve performance, and be recognized as first movers in regulatory readiness. We often see there are still many companies still needs to get up to that benchmark to be ready for the legal obligation, which will enter into force in 2027. My next speaker will be talking about the regulation itself. And we invite you to certify your facility today to assess your status. So to wind up, it's a proven pathway to prevent pellet loss, protect the environment. We invite you to get certified and help the plastics industry change plastics for good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kailas. And to the audience, if you're not convinced to do this, please stay another 15 minutes for the other two speakers. It's worth your while anyway. So I hope we now have Silvia Forni available. Can you please put it on the screen? Silvia, hello, good morning. And thank you very much for being available today. We'll give you the floor in a second. I just want to let you to know, because you just see me, I understand. We have a full audience. It's not quite the full plenary of the European Parliament, but we have around 100 people here. So 200 eyes and ears are now all yours. Please go ahead and tell us about the pellet loss regulation that is currently being finalized.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for giving the European Commission the opportunity to talk today. Is it okay? Can you hear me? No audio problem? Is it okay? Good. So I have prepared a presentation. Now I'm sharing the screen. Is it okay from screen point of view?
The screen. You can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen. Let me try again.
Okay, it's coming. Now we can see it.
It's coming?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, thank you for introducing the topic. I'm sure that what I'm now going to tell you will very much be familiar to you, because indeed this pellet loss regulation was very much inspired by your work. So in the end, the regulation was a great collective work, with Plastics Europe being one of the main interlocutors for the European Commission, for the co-legislators, together with other associations, together with your members. So I'm very grateful to Plastics Europe and the association, its members, for this great collective work we have. We should all be proud of today. I will not repeat what Kailas has just explained. Again, the fact that the regulation was very much inspired by your work. That is why OCS comes on top of this list. We use very much your material, your principles, your guidelines in order to design the regulation. Was not, of course, the only source. We also used the OSPA recommendation and guidelines, the British Standardization Institute PASS monitoring programs run on the field, some national experiences like the one in France and Belgium, and of course the International Maritime Organization recommendations for the transporting of pellets by sea. This also must be familiar to you, because we also believe that prevention is absolutely fundamental. And if you will invest in prevention, you will not have to invest in containment and cleanup. So first of all, you will be required to prevent, then you will be required to contain your losses, and in the end, you will be required to clean up. But again, we very much believe in prevention, like you in Plastics Europe. So we think that we are all aligned on these main principles. It's not only for you, of course, installations producing pellets. It's also for those processing pellets. It's also for those storing and running logistic operations, those cleaning the stations, and of course, transporters, not only by road, rail, or inland navigation, but also for those transporting pellets by sea. This was not in Commission proposal, was added during the process by the co-legislators. So we are now covering the entire value chain. And this is really, really great for us, great progress in advance. Obligations for installations, so for you, for instance, producing pellets, I don't think that you will find big new things. Many of the elements are again taken from OCS. Some general obligations. This is a summary of general and specific obligations. You will have, for instance, to avoid losses. At first, you will have to have a risk management plan, etc. I'm not now going through every single obligations. You will see that obligations depend also on the size. So there will be obligations for smaller, for medium, and for large installations. You mainly belong to the category of medium and large obligations. But as I said at the beginning, the value chain is made of many different actors. So we had to take into account the specificities of everyone. That is why you find in this slide obligations, specific obligations that are depending on the size, but the general obligations are for everyone. Like, for instance, a risk management plan that is made of two main elements, a risk assessment part and the risk management part, very much in line again with OCS. You will have to put in place measures. You will have to put in place measures. Sometimes you will have to consider measures, but only if, voila, for packaging, for instance, for aquatic environment, for secondary catchment devices, for industrial vacuum cleaners, in this case, you will have to consider the measure. If it is necessary, you will have to put in place. Otherwise, it's mandatory. Of course, you will have a good quality packaging. Of course, you will have a catchment devices in place. Of course, you will have drain covers in place. And of course, you will have vacuum cleaners. So for these measures, you will have to put them in place. For other measures, a bit more sophisticated, requiring maybe some more investment, you will have to consider the necessity of this measure. If this measure appears to be necessary, you will have to be put in place, but here you have margin of maneuver. And in this sense, non-compliance with these obligations may lead to a sanction. This is not new because it was in IMO recommendation. It's a good quality packaging for shippers. Who are the shippers? Are those high and seagoing vessels for the transport of pellets by sea. So they and you will have to ensure that pellets are in a good quality packaging under normal transport conditions. You will have to ensure that the transport information identifying containers containing pellets is delivered for the transport of the pellets by sea. We know that sometimes this is not the case still today. And you will have to ensure that the transport information is accompanied by a special stowage request for containers to be stowed under deck or inboard in sheltered areas. So these are recommendations coming from the IMO, International Maritime Organization. As I said at the beginning, this was added. It is now part of the law and will have to be implemented. This is new. It's a pictogram. Manufacturers, importers, downstream users, or distributors placing pellets, they will have to use a pictogram. They will have to put this pictogram that you can see in the slide on the label or on the packaging or on the package leaflet or on the safety data sheet. So this obligation is complementary to the obligations you are probably aware of that exist under the REACH and the CLP regulations. So we stay aligned with existing legislations, but we ask you to place this pictogram on these supports that you have in the slide, and the pictogram is in the slide. So this is mandatory, the use of the pictogram and the support where you can put the pictogram. From a compliance point of view, this should not be new to you, as we also took certification from OCS as a means to demonstrate a compliance to the competent authority. You will have the choice in between self-declaration and certification, again, depending on the size. But for producers, we believe that you will go for certification because of your size, that normally is the size of a medium or a large producer. So again, the instrument is not new, is a certification. We provide also for self-declaration in case you are a smaller enterprise. You have here the timing for certification. There might be need for adaptation compared to OCS, but for a large enterprise, you see that first certification has to come within 24 months and then every 3 years. There are some kinds of exemptions asked by some member states where this is dealt with in different manners. If you are, of course, EMAS registered, you are deemed to be compliant with the system. Member states may grant exemption based on permitting system. This is new. And again, the member states may grant exemption based on an environmental management scheme, not EMAS, but environmental management scheme that, of course, fulfills the same conditions. So these exemptions are possible if the member state decides to go for them, but based on conditions, again, to ensure alignment with the regulation and to ensure that everyone is in the end ready at the same level, in the same way. So we have a compliance system. Of course, this is a regulation. So we have a competent authorities, but the competent authorities will be helped by the certifiers in case of certification. So we also have a certifiers playing an important role in the system, but in order to help the competent authority. So it won't be just the certifiers, it will be the certifiers coming to you, to your place and to your site, because the certification has to go through check on the field. But then in the end, the final say is for competent authorities. There are other provisions in the regulation. I would like to say a few words on the first one, because this is really important, and this is for you to know that you are not alone in this journey. We will help you implement the regulation. We have an obligation for the Commission, then there is an obligation for the Member State, but there is an obligation for the Commission to support you within 12 months from the entry into force of the regulation, so soon. Because we want you to take the right measures to understand, first of all, very much the meaning of the regulation, what the definitions are exactly, and what you have to do exactly. So we will soon consult you because the regulation will be soon adopted by the co-legislators. This is now foreseen for November, so very soon. And as soon as the regulation is adopted and enters into force, we will start the consultation process that is foreseen by the regulation in order to provide a material that will help you implement the regulation. So it's a question of weeks. You will be consulted by our consultant on draft material that will help you implement the measures, the obligations of the regulation. Then there is an obligation to come with a standardized methodology to estimate losses. We know that there are still knowledge gaps in the system. We want to deepen the analysis, so we will have at a moment in time one methodology for everyone to estimate losses. This methodology that will come one day could be used for reporting under REACH, because you are also required to report under REACH. But we think that if we come with one methodology, this should be the methodology that you should be
Silvia?
all using. Yes.
I'm sorry,
at the end of the time.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
But the other provisions are mainly about application. So maybe pay a bit of attention to the timeline for the application, and then evaluation and review will be for later. So great collective work, and thank you very much. But stay with us in the implementation phase of the regulation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Silvia, also for those nice words about us. I have to concur. It was a very open and fact-driven discussion that we have had in the development of this. So now we don't have much time left, but please, Stephan and Rob, come to the stage. And if it is just so that people know what you look like and then can address any questions to you.
2 minutes left, no? Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Stephan Ständer. Very happy to be here on the panel. And actually, I'm director for Polymer operations in Wesseling. So there was one panel before with Paula, who presented our circularity initiatives in Wesseling. And we are very proud of this. And I want to make now we heard a lot about recommendations, about regulations, about framework. And now I have no slide package, don't worry. It's only this animation which shows from, let's say, from paper world to real world. Yeah? Because what we see here, and Kailas already touched upon, the filling of a silo truck from the silo. There was, in the past, there are other measures to prevent overfilling. But in the case of there are potentially some residual pellets on the roof of a truck. In the past, it was like this. You need the truck driver who identifies this, who drives to a gantry, who removes the pellets, so very ineffective. Yeah, a lot of work, and it depends on the truck driver if he's doing this. And you have to take into account that in the petrochemical industry, we talk about goal zero, so we have no incidents in terms of occupational safety, no incidents in terms of process safety, but also no incidents in terms of environmental incidents. And you have to be aware that half a kilo of pellets leaving the site is a loss, which triggers an investigation, which triggers corrective actions, etc. And this system, so it's not easy, it's not a sweeper and a sweeper plate, it's not a sieve basket at the sewer entry, it's something more sophisticated. The truck drives, it's not a hair blower, it's a truck blower. So the blower is blowing the residual, potential residual from the truck, and it keeps at the place, and you can easily keep it up. So we have 2 sites in Europe already equipped with this. In Wesseling, because it's a very huge site, it was a pilot, but now we are implementing this as a permanently installation. This is only to give you a very brief example for what we are doing in real world. And now I want to hand over to Rob, our Mr. OCS.
Yeah, thank you, Stephan. And just I want to tell you that within LyondellBasell we have now 30 sites, 30 sites that have been OCS certified. We worked according to the plan that we have showed. So first we made people aware on the site. Then we did this risk assessment. And based on the risk assessment, we started to follow up on actions like this one. So there was a risk that pellets would leave the site with a truck. And we put in place these kind of blowers on several sites so that the trucks will drive off the site without any pellets, and so there's no loss of pellets outside our plants. And we did many of these measures, and yeah, we are really working on this program a lot. And yeah, I think that's a really good way to prevent pellets going into the ocean. And yeah, that's our program.
Okay, thank you very much. And my apologies that we didn't have more time for you. Once again, the offer to the audience, if you have any more questions to either this gentleman or Kailas or me, look for us. We're going to be around here for some time. And then thanks to all the experts who were here, also to the European Commission, Silvia, Forni from DG Environment. Thanks also to the audience for your interest, your time. Sorry we didn't have time for questions, but the offer stands. If you want to know something, please approach us individually. Thanks, and we're handing over to the next session.